Welcome back to the Union 0430, episode number 30. Imagine that.
Dirty 30.
The Dirty 30. Yeah. I love the Dirty 30s. They were awesome. But I digress. Fellas, only four of us on tonight. Philly is doing some QT, some quality time with the wife before he heads off for a hunt tomorrow, and no guest this week, so you got just the four of us, and we've got a fairly busy topic list or busy agenda of things that we want to talk about, and of course call out a certain number of people and tell them that they're douchebags and you shouldn't be doing this and you shouldn't be doing that. But and as always, we never throw out any names, so if you're feeling embarrassed, yeah, we're probably talking about you. So it's all good. But as usual, we'll kick it off with a quick introduction. Ryan is down outside of Nova Scotia's capital. Mark is up in the Ottawa Valley, just outside of the nation's capital. And Dave is up in Kincardine, where it seems like every weekend there's a monster storm lately. It seems like there's always a big old storm up your way. So, boys, the weather's turning cooler. Birds are moving. Migration is on. For us down here, where I am down in Kingston, this is really the best time for waterfowl hunting right now. We're really going to start getting those big fat greenheads coming in. Geese are obviously piling through, so migration's on, and it's on thick down this way, so it's good starting to see lots of numbers of birds. Numbers are certainly climbing. I don't know how it is around where you guys are.
It was pretty good there on the weekend when the first time it snowed and the temperature dropped, but the last 2 days it's gone back up to like 12 degrees, so yeah. It's been weird weather.
Yeah, we're calling for 13 tomorrow. So, but then I think it's supposed to get cold on the weekend again. So it should be okay. Mark, what about you? What are you seeing up in the valley?
A week ago there was a few birds around, but now it seems like they pushed out. I haven't been
paying much attention
up north of here much.
Yeah.
But down around where I'm moving to, there's no shortage of birds there. That place is just covered right now.
Right, and we never, before I hit the record button, we never really talked about this body of water that you have behind your house. Have you done any investigating to this further, and have you found out that you're soon going to be buying a John boat and hunting that water behind your house?
Yeah, I don't need a John boat to hunt that.
No? Shallow?
I just need a pair of boots. Well, I got a kayak.
Oh, sure. Well, you don't look cool in a kayak if you got a big old mud motor and a duck boat. Then you'd look cooler. But whatever. You want to go around in your fucking kayak? Go around in your kayak. I don't care.
Hey,
a 5-horse looks too big for that. The rooster tail would be deeper than the fucking water body.
Mark, first or last, buddy.
Yeah, Mark, your kayak is still bigger than my boat. So,
what about you, Ryan? How's things down on the East Coast, buddy?
I can get.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mark.
I was gonna say I can get 4 or 5 or 6 birds. Get a limit, and I can take 50 pictures and put them up for the
And
rest of the year.
just stage them differently.
We can delve into that later.
Okay, we will. We'll touch on that subject in a bit. Hey, how's it down your way, Ryan? So those big old black ducks and greenheads should be piling into those cornfields now, eh?
Yeah, they are. It was actually like really cold here. I think it was like -6. And I know there's a lot of people west of me laughing right now, but that's actually pretty cold for here. Like especially November, we don't
Yeah.
hit like minus temperatures till like January. It's almost like a BC climate.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the little ponds and sheet water was kind of frozen this morning. So, but I mean, it's nothing. Or it could be 10 degrees here next week, no problem. So, and usually you kind of get like a reverse migration when that happens. So, there's not a ton of birds around right now, but it's early. Usually Christmas time. Usually when I'm on vacation, that's when I'm in the thick of it. So it's the best is yet to come, but it's kind of quiet right now. But
okay. So a couple of days ago, someone had put a post on one of the waterfowl groups on Facebook, and this gentleman had said that, and of course I'm paraphrasing here, but he had sort of kind of along the line said he's looking for some information because he can't figure it out. He says the water is not freezing up in his area. Where he is, I don't know, but the water isn't freezing up where he is. There's tons of food around for the birds, but he said they're not hanging around. Like they're there one day, next day they're gone, and he's wondering why these birds are leaving. And someone had chimed in and said, well, migration is on, and they're heading south and stuff. And I'm not so sure that I buy into that idea. I think that as long as there's food and there's water, they're not going to leave. And I'm just wondering what your guys' thoughts on that is.
yeah, I agree. I go. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mark.
I was gonna say, how many times have you hunted and just watched migrators pass over and you can't call them in? There's no calling them in. They're going somewhere else.
Yeah.
Right. So they have an agenda. If you're not part of it, too bad. So sad. Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with your kind of opinion on that. Like, if they got food and water and they can be fat and happy, they're not going to go anywhere. Like,
Yeah.
When the migration really is on, they are in energy conserving mode, and migrating is only a necessity when it's a necessity. But
absolutely,
the X factor is hunting pressure. Like that's what I would be thinking about. Like, is there a lot of hunting pressure in your area? Because if all the feeds are getting, they're getting shot in all the feeds, and they're just going to blow smoke out of town. Like, that's probably what I would kind of lean towards.
Dave.
Yeah. So the one suggestion I'd make to some of those people would be, I don't know if you've seen that Moat Gear. They put those videos out.
Mm-hmm.
I got them for my son because so they just came in. We started watching them, and we just watched the duck one, and it talks about the 3 different migrations that the ducks have. I don't want to spoil it, but it's something to take a watch at if you can. It's pretty good.
No, I just, there's resident birds that hang, and the reason why they're resident birds is that they've found a food source and a water supply that they don't need to move. And I think if more birds find that food source and that water supply, then your resident birds will grow in numbers, right? Like, does that make sense? So the migration, in my mind, like, yeah, that they're wired when they get cold, that they're heading south. But if it's still warm and there's food, I think 100%, Ryan, they're just going to continue sitting around, eating, getting fat. And when time comes and the snow is coming in sideways, and they know the weather, they know what's happening with the weather more than what the Doppler radar tells us. So, you know what I mean? So they know what's happening, and I don't think it's as much migration as it's probably hunting pressure. People fucking shooting guns at them, and they're just like, I'm out of here, man.
I mean, I mean, you look at like northern New York, and even where you guys are, that's why there's a late season, right? Like in that after when the calendar turns, there's a late goose hunt, because there's still birds around. They're in a a power plant cooling pool, and where the water stays open, and they don't get a lot of snowfall in an area. They're just gonna sit tight. They got no reason to leave. So some birds will, like, not saying they all do that, but some birds are just conditioned to stay, and some birds are just conditioned to go. Geese are finicky like that. Like, mating pairs will mate and go back to the same breeding pond every year if they have success. Like, they're pretty complex animal, but it's not the same across the board for all of them. So
yeah. Dave,
as complex as we call them, like, and then you see the next breath, you see guys just like, oh, all you gotta do is wave this black flag and they'll come down at you. It's like, oh fuck, they're amazing animals.
Yeah, and when you have the brain the size of a nickel, it makes you wonder who's the smarter one when we're out there dumping fucking major amounts of money on gear to try and get these things. The brain the size of a nickel, and they can still outthink you and still make you work for everyone. So they are amazing animal, which what makes it that much more fun. Dave, ducks are starting to come in your way here now, and now with the power plant up there and that warm water discharge and everything, will those birds hang out now until the bitter end, or are they there all year?
We've got birds here all year, but
yeah,
we'll get a big push in, and then as it gets colder, some of the smaller birds will push out, and then another push will come in of the bigger birds. But we'll have birds here. Do you remember, like, I was just talking to someone about it today, like 5 or 6 years ago when Lake Huron froze over and they showed that satellite image of what it looked like. If you zoomed in, like right near us, there's actually a patch where it wasn't frozen over, and there was still birds coming into there.
Okay.
And you could sit on the ice shelf and shoot the birds as they were coming into that water spot, right? But at the same time, like, the predator birds, like the hawks, eagles, and all them, they knew about this hole too, and that's where they were going for their lunches. So if you shot a duck, you'd have to get it before those. So it's kind of a neat.
That would be. I've never ever had that experience where I had to worry about a predator bird coming in and picking up what. Yeah, have you, Mark?
Yeah. And Ryan, we were sitting there together. We were hunting in beautiful Cole Harbor, Nova Scotia.
Home of Sidney Crosby.
Yeah.
And Nathan McKinnon.
Oh yeah, I love Nate. Love Nate.
Yeah. Nate's great. And so we're sitting there in the little homemade blind we made in the spot, and there's this cormorant sitting on a rock off to our left, and we're just kind of paying attention to different things. And I'm looking to my left, and then I could see coming across the water this very large bird, just about 1.5 feet off the water, about 100 yards away from the rock. And it came in as we were looking, and I elbow Ryan. I'm like, look at this. And just before the bald eagle got to the cormorant, he seen it at the last second and just dropped off the rock into the water. And the bald eagle just went. And then the second one came in behind it, the cleanup crew.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
When I was hunting I was living in the Ottawa Valley. I was hunting a little back eddy, little marshy area right on the Ottawa River. I mean, a guy, and it was a nice, bright, sunny day, hiding in the cattails, and probably had about 3-4 dozen floaters out there, and kind of in the evening, the sun's starting to go down in the west, and then I kind of look up into the sun, and I see this bird kind of circling the sun, and down comes this young bald eagle. His head wasn't even turning white; it's just kind of a little bit patchy, and he swoops down on one of my hen mallard decoys, all like talons out, hits the decoy, like completely, like grabs onto it. You can hear the talons like scraping
the plastic.
now he's like going in the water. So he's like, what? He's totally messed up. Like, anyways, he was able to like right himself and get back in the air. I don't think that bird ever attacked a duck probably for the rest of its life. He's like, I don't know what happened there, but I'm not doing that again.
Yeah.
I'll stick to salmon.
Yeah, no doubt.
We had another day. We were out. It wasn't Rhino. It was with my ex's father back in must have been 2006 or 2007. And 3 days we hunted the same blind on this pond, not too far from where you live, Damien.
Mm-hmm.
And every day we'd see this hen mallard. This hen mallard would buzz us, but she'd never come in range. She'd fly up high when it came to the blind. She must have been shot at before or something. This went on for 3 days. And on the third day, she flew around and then flew over us, and all you could hear was the scream out of an eagle and the duck going, wah, 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 wah. And then down came the duck, boom, right into the decoys.
Oh yeah.
The hawk hit it. The hawk hit it right above us and knocked it down into the decoys, and then we finished it off. Got the assist from the hawk. It was
Awesome.
pretty cool.
Was that in Cole Harbor too?
No, that was close to Damien's.
that wasn't in
Oh.
cool.
Home of Sydney.
Just outside Napanee, the home of Damien Pittman.
Yeah, that's right. Speaking of just outside of Napanee, so over the weekend here and what?
You're breaking up.
You're breaking up. Can't hear you.
Right sluggish.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Kids are playing Warzone again.
Yeah.
No, that shouldn't be.
Let's go.
I don't
Let's
know.
go. Put your phone up higher.
Yeah.
Hey, we should all talk like Phil for the rest of the episode like this.
Walk around with it.
Yeah, so over the weekend here in Ontario, and I'm guessing probably headed towards you as well, Ryan, but we had we had a bit of a windstorm over like Sunday into Monday, some pretty crazy wind. And it was it was definitely advertised, especially on my Facebook feed. Everyone thought it was the fucking second coming of Christ or something, with everybody freaking out over the wind that was coming the next day. But yet, and I don't know all the details, and I'm not going to assume anything, but there was a couple fellas that had made their way out hunting on Sunday, just outside of Napanee into this place called Hay Bay, and search and rescue had to get called out to rescue them. And again, I don't know the details. I don't know what happened or anything like that, but I do know that the weather was well known. Yeah, it's hard to, yeah, there they are. It's hard to see them though. Hard to tell who it is. But it's such a crazy risk when you know the weather is coming, and to still want to get out after. Listen, everybody is passionate about hunting birds and stuff. I get it, but I don't think your life is worth a couple birds. And really, that's the way I look at it. I grew up on the water, so I've got a huge respect for it. There was no way you would have got me out on a boat on Sunday, but yet, you know, here we are. And I guess if you want to go out in the boat and you don't give a fuck about your safety, then that's one thing. And there's really nothing I'm going to say that's going to change your mind on that. The biggest thing is the search and rescue technicians now that had to come out. They're risking their life now to come out to get you, right? So, and again, I don't know the situation that happened in Hay Bay, but I do believe that it could have been avoided. And then these fine gentlemen and ladies that had to kit up and jump out of a fucking helicopter or whatever it is they had to do in order to save these two people. So, you know, really, I know a couple weeks ago, a couple episodes ago, we had talked about checking on the weather and stuff, and David chimed in on it, and that's part of your scouting, and that'll be a good segue into our scouting idea. But it's part of your scouting to look at the weather for the next day, I would think, and you know, when it's calling for gusts up to 100 kilometers an hour, probably not a good day to be on Lake Ontario or a bay of Lake Ontario.
So on the weekend when that happened, we were down at Mitchell's Bay.
Yeah.
And we weren't even going on the water there.
Yeah.
And I drove all the way up, like Jason and Sean, they drove back to Kingston, and it was bad that whole way. And I drove up towards Lake Huron to Kincardine, and the weather was huge winds all the way up to where I was. Like, there was one point that there was so much blowing shit across the road, and I could feel the truck moving. Like, it was just ridiculous weather.
Yeah.
My big question is, are ducks even moving in that? Because that was ridiculous wind.
Well, divers are.
Well, yeah, but I don't know.
Yeah. Divers are moving in it. Puddle ducks definitely not. Geese definitely not.
I've never hunted in something like that before, so I wouldn't know. Is what I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
And I use those wind checking apps, and they're usually, I can get a good idea of what it's kind of going to be like, so I know what boat launch or whatever to use. But man, when everything is saying like, warning, there's gusts up to 100, every fucking like the wind apps are never 100% correct.
Yeah.
But when it's saying like every single one of them is saying like tomorrow's going to be bad.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be bad.
Chances are.
Yeah.
Weather Network, I don't trust you. Like, I don't know.
You had an excuse like 50 years ago when nothing was that accurate, right?
Yeah.
Nobody was watching these different news outlets and stuff. I mean, you understand, we all read about it, that Armistice Day disaster.
Yeah.
Right. So that they went out and find weather and the weather changed, but they didn't know. They didn't know. But now there's almost no excuse now. No. And if you're going to go hunting on the water, the first thing you should be doing is checking the weather.
100%.
Really?
Yeah, 100%. And again, that's and not to insult anybody. That's easy for me. Growing up in Newfoundland, I grew up on the water. I grew up out in a boat, so it's second nature to me. So maybe it's just ignorance out of my part that I think everybody should just be like, if you're going out in a boat, you should be checking your weather to see, like, and not only, you know, is it safe, but how are you going to fucking dress? That, which is the biggest thing out in the boat, because you know what I mean? Like, how are you going to dress when you're going out in your boat? And the only way you're going to find that out is
check the weather.
And
there's no frigging excuse, like Mark said. Like, I can tell you what the weather's going to be on Sunday in 5 seconds right now. Like, right, everybody's got one of those. But you talked about Newfoundland, like you and Mark grew up on the coast of Newfoundland, and that the water there is way more complex because you got tides and everything else, right? But on the big lakes, you just got to worry about the wind. That's it. Like the wind and what the precipitation is going to do, or the temperature. It's not too hard. So, I mean, sometimes is the risk worth the reward? Do you even have the right kind of boat? I don't know what kind of boat these guys were in.
Yeah,
but,
I don't know either.
Did they even have the right type of boat for this kind of weather? Because some boats can handle it a little more than others. But all at the end of the day, it all ended well for them, luckily, and nobody got hurt, and that's the most important thing. But just another reminder, and maybe these guys learn. I hope these guys definitely learned their lesson, and they're appreciative of the guys who plucked them off the lake. But yeah, just live and learn, and just not worth it. Just be smart and assess the risks at all times.
Around here, a wind event like that's a big deal because you don't see 80 plus winds that often here.
No.
Back home, that's Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So you learn to live with it.
We get storm state at work in the wintertime, and it's because the winds are blowing so hard that the snow you can't see right on the roads. And we checked the wind app, and I think it's Weather Canada has like a hourly wind and what direction and stuff. And we knew that for as long as it stays gusting above 50 kilometers an hour, we're stuck at work, and we'd be looking, and as soon as it would say like 44 or something, we'd be like, oh, we might get home now. So it was kind of, wind is a big deal, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's everything, man.
Shit. Sorry, fellas. I was no. I was reading that friggin' thread on Ontario waterfowlers there about those waders. It's
Breaking up again.
sorry. The conversation is growing on the wader issue on that.
Oh, the waiters.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
Hey.
There you go.
that's a good
Good
segue.
segue.
Well, it is a good segue. So it's actually pretty good because so for anybody that's watching that don't know, gator waders have been sold here in Canada through Capital Waterfowling, which was based out of Ottawa. So Ryan Reynolds and Eric Greiba's company. So ultimately what's ended up happening is a fellas has went to Facebook and to sort of, hey, listen, I ordered this. I'm getting no love from the company. I'm trying to figure out where my $500 is, where my waiters are and stuff like that. So I had no idea that Ryan Reynolds had left the company. Had no, and I'm just, he's chiming in on the chat there right now. So, and apparently from what he's saying, he hasn't had anything to do with the company in quite some time. So, yeah, news to me. I had no idea. But that being said, if you are in the market for a new set of waiters, I'd be calling gator waiters personally and talking to someone down in the States because by the sounds of it, I don't think there's anybody in Canada that's looking after them, and that could probably be the reason why gator waiters made that change on their site last week about Canadian duties and Canadian prices being all done right at the checkout on their website. So I don't know. Either way, if you want waiters, make sure you're actually going to get them after you dump your money, because this poor fella, it seems as though he's out $500 right now for a set of waiters, and that's a goddamn shame because everyone works way too hard for their money to lose it over a set of fucking waiters.
And that being said too, like all these waterfowl sites or classified sites that are on Facebook and that, if you're going to make a purchase and you're going through PayPal, quit using the friends and family unless you absolutely know the person.
Yeah.
Go through the pay the 3% or whatever it is. There's so many people that have been screwed over on whatever it is, decoys or and it happens so often.
Yeah.
Pay that 3%, get your money back.
That's right. Yeah, that's a really good point, Dave, that a lot of people, and I know, again, that you work hard for your money and everyone's trying to save a buck here and there, but that 3%, by paying that, that's guaranteeing that your purchase is, I guess, insured, for lack of a better term, right? So stop being so fucking cheap and pay the 3% and save yourself the headache of having to go on Facebook. There. Said it.
I just like how you say three.
Tree.
Tree.
Tree. That's a cab. That's how you can call a cab in St. John's, Newfoundland. That's the number. Tree.
If you look at the top of the cab,
Yeah, that's
the light thing, the sign, it's trees.
Yeah.
Not threes. It's all little trees.
Perfect.
All right. What else? Let's talk about this goddamn fad that's going across social media right now. Listen, I get it. I have a fucking full-time job too. So does Ryan, Dave, Mark, Phil, and all the guests that we have on here. And I know we can't hunt 7 days a week as much as we'd want to. So if you think we don't figure out that you're using the same birds and the same location, and you're shooting pictures and changing holds and whatever for 3 weeks, we notice you're not impressing anybody.
I'd like to add, going back to what you said at the start, like, we are not specifically talking about anybody,
Yeah,
but if you think we are and you're
Yeah.
feeling guilty, you probably should be.
yeah.
Like, if you're doing it, you're doing it.
Well, and you don't have to feel guilty. Like, it's up to you if you feel guilty or if you feel shame or whatever. Just know that we think less of you.
Don't need to butter it up.
Yeah, no, I'm just joking. But seriously though, like, I understand that there's a need. Well, I don't understand it, I guess. I don't understand why people feel that they need to trick people or to make themselves seem bigger than what they are, or more important, or a better hunter, or anything. Listen, I get it. You want social media content and stuff like that. You know, shooting a 2-man limit and then recycling those pictures for 3 weeks on the same limit and adding different captions. You know, people see through it. So don't fucking do it, or do it and just don't be surprised if people call you out on it, is really the message I'm trying to get. Because I think that's what you're starting to see now. People are starting to call one another out. And
I tried to do it on a hunt last year with my old man. It was just me and him, and we had probably about, I don't know, 500 ducks. I'm like, yeah, let's just shoot greenheads. And we were going pretty good. And then he shot a black duck, and I was like, oh, that's fine. And it was a hen. I'm like, well, that photo op's over. So 12 greenheads down the tubes. So much. But,
One short of a limit.
darn.
Was a great hunt. We just couldn't get that last bird in.
Yeah, that is there's another topic. I Davey just ran away, but the whole greenhead topic, don't shoot Susies and all that stuff. Like, I love that debate. They all taste same. A lot of guys do. The reason a lot of guys do is kind of among the hunt, or in some states, in the states, like I think Missouri's kind of picky with it. You can only shoot X amount of your limit can be greenheads, and you can only shoot so many hens. So don't call me on that. I'm not too up to snuff with the American regulations, but yeah. So just kind of another kind of topic for chat.
what's that?
I'm not saying it all again, man.
I gotta say it all again, Ryan.
No, that's okay.
We're talking about picking up greenheads. Like, guys get chirped for shooting hens or whatever, and it's, it's not because they're the egg layers and all that, but a lot of guys, it also, in my opinion, it just stemmed from like guys just trying to prolong their hunt. Like, you can, if you're out west or it doesn't matter if you're on a good duck feed, like you can shoot your limit of ducks between 4 guys very quickly. But if you want to make your hunt last, just pick up greenheads.
Yeah. If you're in a location where you're afforded that opportunity, of course. And honestly, it makes for a really, really nice picture. When it's just a stack of greenheads, it makes for a wicked, wicked picture.
Yeah.
And then you could keep recycling those pictures over and over because
you just take 50 pictures, right?
Yeah.
And I mean that's kind of like the essence of hunting. Like you whatever you set out a goal, right? Whether it's like I'm going to shoot a mature deer, or I'm going to shoot my first band, or whatever. You set out a goal and you try to obtain it. And like hunting is the one sport where like we constantly intentionally put obstacles and hurdles in front of us. Like we set bag limits, and you can only shoot certain genders and hunt at certain calibers and at certain times, right? Like, so it's sometimes it's when you accomplish that goal, like if you just set out and shoot, I'm going to sit and just pick out greenheads by myself. It's cool to look back and focus on that and celebrate that. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, You know, that's something, if that's what hunting's all about,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember our hunt out west, Ryan. I think it was our last
Yeah.
day, and we had said we're only going to shoot mature specs, and we were literally picking out the bird, like, and someone would yell across the five of us and be like, "Hey, Ryan, that one right there, right in front of you." And that was the bird you shot. And we were literally picking our birds to shoot because it was our first
I
time.
think we
Any
had
of us,
we had 8 specs to go on our limit, and we're
Yeah.
like, hey, let's just shoot like mature barbellies, like
yeah,
ones you would want to mount just for something. Like there's thousands and thousands coming at us, so
yeah,
let's just have some fun with it.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Um, Fellas, I know we've touched on scouting a fair amount, and we've talked about the importance of scouting, especially on that early season. You know, when fellas are horny and they want to get out at the birds and they want to get chasing them, and it seems like scouting is a it's something to get people out and on the roads and thinking about birds and stuff. But as we get a little bit longer in the season, it seems as though scouting doesn't seem to be as important. I don't know if it's what it is, if people just lose the luster of it, or if they figure they know what they're doing. But when it comes to this whole idea of scouting, like, do you have like a strict regime that you follow? Like, is it, do you go through the same thing every time? Do you start at the same or roughly in the same area and do a loop of known locations for birds? Like, talk me through your scouting, Dave.
I got roost ponds kind of behind my house. There's not many roost areas around here, so I kind of know where they're going to come off the roost, and then we know the general area that they're going to go. So I'll kind of park somewhere between those two spots and wait to see them come off the ponds, and then I'll see kind of where they're going. If I can get out in time, like right now with it being dark, closer to dinner time, and working until 3 or 4 o'clock. Like tonight, I had to work till 4 o'clock, so I got on the road right at 4 when I was done work, and I started and the ponds were already empty, so I have to drive by them just to get to the highway, right? So drove by. Well, then now it's a matter of looping through all the roads, and I kind of just every weekend when you go by and you drive by, you know what fields of corn have been taken off, and right now I'm focusing on that. And there's nothing better than when, like, you get a buddy or two calling and they're saying, "Hey, you want to hunt tomorrow? I'm going to start scouting. I'll scout this area, you scout that area," and it just cuts it down. Like that's the
Yeah.
biggest key is getting a couple guys, splitting up that scouting, not being afraid to walk in and say like it's one thing to have a group of guys that are all driving around, but you also have to have a group of guys that someone's got to be willing to knock on the door from each vehicle if you can.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, absolutely. You can burn all the gas in the world, but if you're not willing to knock on the door and ask for permission, it's all for nothing, right?
But the other thing I like to do is first thing in the morning, like if I'm up early, like if the dog must have eaten a sock the other night, and then she woke up at 5 in the morning puking. So it's like, well, I'm not going back to bed, so I might as well just go out scouting before 8 o'clock and I'll scout kind of on the way to work. And I think I sent you guys that picture of all the ducks that I found. I'm not saying where they are because
yeah, don't.
I guess we post this Monday, but yeah. So
Mark, I know you're in the middle, well, soon going to be into a move and a new job and stuff. So your time beating the roads and scouting probably took a severe decline from years before. But same with you, like in that same area, like is it the same routine? Are you hitting the same roads, the same fields, everything when you do your scout?
No, not always, but now where I'm going, it's going to be different because I'm going to be some that you rely on just in your drives to and from places. When you're not hunting, you kind of see what's going on because I don't think there's one of us who doesn't continuously observe for waterfowl or animals or wildlife or anything for that matter.
Absolutely.
So you always build up that back knowledge, but then at the same time you do learn, like Dave was saying, about your roosts and those kind of spots, your loafing ponds, all that stuff. So you pay attention to that as well. So it's a combination of those things. If you go for a morning scout, you're going to go where you think they're going to come from, and you're going to watch them go to their spot. Now you're going to do that to a point, and then you're going to go around checking fields to see what's in different fields, right? And you'd think geese, because of their color, would show up easy in certain fields, but they don't always, especially in certain cornfields where the stubble is, let's say, goose height, almost goose. You really got to stop and check with the binos in some of those fields. Like, we passed by fields before, and then something will catch your eye, and you turn around, go back, put the glass on it, and sure enough, 700 yards down the field, there's geese. Right? You weren't gonna see that just by driving by.
Well, the one thing I find on those fields is those fields that got those little rolls into them, like from the road, you can't notice that there's a change in elevation or there's that little roll, but you got to pull out the binos and then you go, oh crap, look at all those heads behind that little knob there. And you could just pick out the heads with binos, but good point. Well, you look at when we went down to Nova Scotia that year and we hunted that cornfield, like when we rolled in there, we were like, oh, there's no ducks here. We drove 10 feet down the road and we got in between look down the stubble line, and we're like, holy shit, there's 200 ducks in here. Like, it was madness, and it was just orientating.
It was more than that. And like, the only reason we stopped is because I think we saw like a dozen mallards pitching in the corn.
Yeah.
And by the time we drove down, and again, like, you know what, maybe we left there, I think we thought, oh yeah, there's a few hundred ducks. There was probably close to 1,000 ducks in that field, and we didn't even know it. And we ended up hunting it 2 days in a row and shooting limits both days. Like, that's how many birds were there. I mean, you just really, like, it's just attention to detail. Like, and there's so many variables, like what you're hunting, and what crop you're hunting. You know, what time of year is it? Like, it changed. The game constantly changes throughout the season. You got to pay attention to the details. Like,
so Ryan, that's a good point. Bring that. So elaborate on that a little bit more. So elaborate on the fact that what you done early season is really not what's happening out there right now. Like, let's talk geese. The way geese are operating right now, like, what's I know it's different everywhere, but the normal right now, compared to what the normal was in the third week of September.
Yeah. So like, my experience, like, I've done the majority of my goose hunting in Ontario and like out east here. And then goose hunting out west is a completely different animal, but anyway, so your seasons, your 3 seasons are your early season, your mid season, and your late season. In that early season, you're hunting, you know, your grain fields and all that. You're hunting resident geese. You're hunting a lot of young geese hatched that year, just following their family groups, right? Easy decoying. You can get away with a lot of mistakes, right? Stuff like that. Then you get your molt migration, all your unsuccessful breeders. You know, as the temperature starts to change, then you get the birds heading to more like high protein feeds like corn, right? So you're looking for corn fields and feeds like that, and that's a different approach. They're a lot more aggressive, but you got to keep in mind now the birds are a lot more educated. Those young dumb ones aren't so dumb anymore. Things like that. And if you're in more of a southern location, those birds have been hunted all the way down through now, right? So the further south you are, the harder it's going to be. And then you get to the late season when your lakes are starting to like ice over. And if you glass the lake and you see like this big wad of birds out there, like keeping a pot of water open, that to me, that is, you're in the late season. And you got to keep in mind, those birds are in energy conserving mode. They're only going to feed once a day. So if you go set up at like 30 minutes before shooting light, you may be waiting a while. You may freeze yourself. And when I was younger, I've made that mistake. Like, waited till like 11:30, froze our asses off. Okay, let's pack up the gear. And then as soon as we pull the trucks in, here come the birds, right?
Yeah.
So I've made those mistakes in my younger days, but so you really got to keep kind of in mind what are you hunting? What time of year is it? What's your area like?
Mhm.
If you're in your own area, if you're in your backyard, like I've hunted Nova Scotia my whole life. I know where all the roosts are in my area. I know how the birds typically pattern off what weather. So that's kind of an advantage, just home field advantage really. But there's a lot of factors. You just got to make sure you're always keeping all the variables in mind.
Yeah, and that sort of kind of plays into what Mark was saying, is that I don't think anybody here is not constantly monitoring birds and animals, right? And we're doing it all the time, and we're always watching, and you know, a large portion of my friends aren't hunters, and will be in mid conversation, and I stop and I'm running out the patio door to see what the birds are doing because I hear them, or something like that. So yeah, like you've got to be constantly watching them, and it's a really good point that you brought up about freezing your hole off. I think that's why a lot of people like divers as much, because you can just go out any time of the day and smash divers. You don't have to be there at first light. You can wake up at 10 o'clock in the morning and drive to the boat launch. Divers are constantly moving. It's not like puddle ducks where you got that first hour and a bit after sunrise when you can shoot birds. But divers are moving all the time. But that's something that I
Call
think,
divers a lazy man's bird.
I don't know, maybe. I don't know.
No, just asking a question.
Yeah, no, and you know what? I don't know. Like I've hunted divers. I'm not set up 100% for divers, but I do know that come in the late season, having a chance to go on a diver hunt is not always a bad idea, because you get that extra couple hours to sleep in, no rush, no one's fucking no fist fights at the boat launch trying to get your boat in to get your all that good stuff. So I don't know if I'd call it a lazy man's bird, but I wouldn't call it a yeah, whatever. You know what I'm getting at. But keeping on this subject, and knowing your birds and stuff like that, and knowing what species that you're chasing after and stuff, and for the fellas that and ladies that listen, that are a little bit long in the tooth when it comes to this hunting stuff, but there are a large number of people that listen to this that are new to it, and not every bird is going to operate or react the same way, right? And that's a prime example. Divers, you can go out any time of the day and smash them because they're constantly always on the move. Divers are always moving. Puddle ducks, like look at a wood duck. Like in my experience, you've got 20 minutes after first light to shoot your wood ducks, and after that you ain't getting them because they ain't moving. That's my experience in this area, and it could be different wherever, but you got 20 minutes, half hour after first light, and then that's it for wood ducks. You're not going to see any more unless there's the odd one that pops around. But it's there's a lot more to this than just going out and spending a pile of money on gear. Knowing your birds in your area and stuff, that's what's really going to make your successful hunt. Not so much the calls and the decoys and stuff like that. You're seeing stuff now. So Rusty is doing it. I don't know if you guys are really been paying attention to Rusty's social media, but Rusty is doing a ton of stuff right now. Tips of the day, quick 2-minute videos, and it's brilliant stuff. It's not mind blowing. It's just simple things that'll help you have a successful hunt. And it's so simple, but the only way you would know it is through experience. And it's not something that you're going to get in a book. It's something that you got to learn from experience, and someone's got to teach it to you, or tell you this is what works in this area, if that makes sense.
And maybe this would be a good time to talk about, when we're checking our weather, what is good for scouting, and that being like the wind direction, if it's a north wind, if it's pressure drop, storm coming in, stuff like that. Like that's a big part of scouting too, is checking those apps and checking what's coming in. Like Mondays I'll check and I'll be like, have to work 5 more days and then I get to hunt again. But I'll look at what's it predicting for Saturday. And I'll be like, oh, north wind, storm at night, like storm front coming in. It might be a good weekend. This is going to be good, and it kind of gets you through the week too, right? So,
Yeah.
like,
I don't pay much attention to what's going on up north. And honestly, this is the way my brain works. It's north, it's colder than what it is here. So birds are going to be leaving there and moving down here. And that's not to take anything away from you, Dave. That's honestly the way my brain works. So when it comes to the scouting, if it's a bluebird day, then I'm like, do I really want to go out and sit down and probably not see anything when I could get a bunch of the stuff done around the house in the nice weather? Do that then, and then save the shitty weather to be out hunting birds and not trying to put up Christmas lights. I think Rusty done a video on it the other day too, saying that exact same thing. So
just put your Christmas lights up January 10th when the season's over.
Yeah.
I think of the 4 of us here now, I think the one that the weather affects most is Ryan. By far. Like, I have hunted down there enough to know that wet weather is really good.
Yeah, when that river breaks the banks and it floods the fields down here, it's like all the ducks they just know, and they come out of the salt marshes and they just come inland, and it's just
glorious.
It's some of the best duck hunting I've ever experienced in my life. So
I have to agree.
I've got to throw this out there, and Phil's not here to name drop Jeff Coates tonight, but
yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Have you been watching Jeff's video, man? I'm loving these quick little 15-second videos that he's doing of fellas just trying to kill these divers. And these birds are like, anybody that's hunted divers know, if you're every time folding birds on one shot with divers, you're a whiz, because I'm emptying my gun every time on divers. They're just, and I'm watching Jeff, and he's sitting back there, he's driving the boat and he's being the guide and stuff. And he was like, yeah, here they come. Shoot it, not the decoys, shoot it. And he's just losing. Oh, fuck, it's awesome. It's so funny listening to him talking to these fellas, and then when fellas miss it, and then there was a fella pulled up the other day and he didn't have a round chambered into his gun, a shell chambered, and I just laughed, because how many times have it happened to me where I'm just excited, I took a shot at a volley, got a bird, came back, never reloaded the gun, another one comes in right into your face and you pull up, you got it dead to rights, and click.
Dead man's gun.
Yeah.
I want to point out though, if that border was open, we'd be down there having those videos made of us.
Yeah. Well, and that's so first when we started talking with Jeff, I had said, I really want to get down there and do a hunt with him. But after seeing these videos now, I really want to be in that boat with him and just having a laugh and just shooting at, and there's a couple birds here that you can knock off the bucket list that I'm definitely not going to get here in Ontario, right? On that note, somebody put up a picture of shooting an eider in Ontario. Did anybody see that?
Quebec, wasn't it? The king eider?
Was it Quebec?
It wasn't a king eider.
Not a king.
No.
It was in Quebec.
Oh yeah,
It wasn't a king.
Yeah, that was in
saying...
that was in the Gaspé. That's that one. But there was a fella that shot a juvie eider, right?
Here in Ontario, yeah.
Here in Ontario, yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah,
I did see that.
Because actually the guy,
I'm not gonna be able to find it now, but I did see it.
Actually, the guy actually asked, "What kind of bird is this?" And thankfully he didn't get fucking lambasted on Facebook for not knowing it, because there was a ton of people that didn't know what that fucking bird was because we just don't see them here in Ontario, right? So he didn't get crucified like most fellas do when they ask a question on Facebook. But yeah, like
in keeping with that, are you even allowed to shoot eiders in Ontario?
Good question.
Fuck, I don't know.
Because it's a very short season for them down east.
It is.
And yeah, I'd have to carry on with conversation. One of us will.
Yeah.
But
But I mean, I know the internet is a cold, dark, savage area where people's egos get checked at the door very quickly. I mean, and some guys go way too far. But again, like, if you don't know what it is, man, don't shoot it. Like, unless you're, you're mistaken it, or it's like first light or whatever, it happens. I get it. But that's the last place I'm ever going to look for advice is the internet and waterfowl forums. For Mark, you want to say something? I know you do.
Shoot this bird. You have no clue what it is. Post it on a public waterfowl forum with 3,000 people and ask, what is this?
A bunch of keyboard heroes just with the safety of their IP address. Like, oh my God.
There's different seasons for different kinds of birds, and you're not allowed to shoot certain kinds of birds too. There are birds you can't shoot.
Yeah.
So, and then you go throw up a thing on a public forum asking everyone, what's this?
That was like a couple weeks ago. The guy posted that grebe up. I don't know if you saw that one.
I did
Like,
see
anyone
that.
know what this is? 6 minutes later, it's gone, like in oblivion. And then 5 minutes after that, someone says, "Hey, where'd that post go about the grebe?" And then all of a sudden, there's like 10 screenshots of the fucking post. Like, holy shit!
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Ask friends. Don't post it up on the entire internet.
Yeah.
Once you hit send, it's there forever. No matter what. No matter how fast you think you delete it, it's there forever.
It's there. Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking through my notes here, fellas, to see if we got anything else that we wanted to talk about this episode, and I'm out. I've got nothing. So yeah. Oh, Mark got his hand up.
Hunt in the same location multiple times, same day, day after day.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, my rule of thumb is never go back to the same spot the next day. Simple. Now, it could be 2 days from now you go back, but never hunt the same spot the next day.
Are you talking water or are you talking field? Because I'll do it on a field.
Yeah.
And I've had lots of success.
Yeah.
I've got it on video, in fact.
Okay.
That's fine.
Yeah.
And there's videos. There's guys here. They've hunted the same field 8 times in a row, 8 days in a row, and it was the only field the birds were going to. And it's like, eventually they're going to come to one of my fields, and just they kept going to the same field over and over.
Really?
So the reason fields are different than water is obviously because water is roost spots, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you hunt the same roost spot over and over and over, where are your birds going to go? Somewhere the fuck else.
Mm-hmm.
They ain't going to stay in that roost, right?
Yeah, but I'm not talking about hunting a roost, though. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, even I don't know, like anywhere on the water. Like, I won't go back to the same spot on water. Not a roost, but like a normal hunting spot.
Well,
But-
I'll use Mud Lake as an example.
Okay, yeah.
That corner, right? Not a roost. They don't roost in that corner. They feed on the wild rice,
Mhm.
right? It's chock full in there.
Yeah.
So we've hunted there multiple times, but if we've hunted there back-to-back days, the second day is generally not as productive as the first day. But I find it's bird numbers, right? And I just said it earlier, like when you guys came out east for that hunt, we hunted that same day, 2 days, same field, 2 days in a row. There was 1,000 ducks in it. Like we got in there fast. We got I think the first day we shot a 5-man limit. And then the next day we came back with 4 guys, and it wasn't as sexy or fast or as pretty. It took us maybe 2 hours, but we got our 4-man limit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and then that we knew after that, this goose is cooked, pun intended. But
Yeah.
I mean, we in the past there was this water hole we managed, and we knew it had the potential to produce ducks, and you could probably get 3 good hunts out of it in a fall
Mm-hmm.
if you managed it properly.
Yeah.
What happens on opening weekend? The guy we hammer it in the morning, different group of guys come back to
Yeah.
hammer it at night,
Yeah.
different group of guys come the next morning. This is all on one weekend.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Come the next night. So you got 4 or 5 hunts in a row. So Friday evening,
Mm-hmm.
Saturday morning, Saturday evening, Sunday morning, Sunday night, and by the time even Saturday evening rolls around,
Yeah.
how many birds you get? Oh, we got 1 out of 3 blinds. So I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
and then no birds because they're all drove out of there because someone continuously hunted the spot time after time, thinking, oh yeah, well it's a place to hunt, but there's nothing there now.
Yeah. And
And
that's
we're fortunate.
Yeah, go Ryan.
We're fortunate in Canada. Like we have an abundance of public land.
Mm-hmm.
In the States, not so much. A lot of leases, a lot of private. You know, a lot of the state designated public area is highly competitive. A lot of draws, right? Like,
Yeah.
so we're super fortunate here. But in the States, it's like, and Mark knows, like when he was in Maryland, like you get a plot of land, good luck. Like you're probably leasing it for 30,000 US for that season. And it's you and your 5 buddies pooling all your money together. Like, so
Wild.
that's what you live and die by. But up here, we don't have to do that as much. So we're fortunate in that perspective.
What's your thoughts on afternoon hunts? Personally, I don't do it because afternoon is generally where people are scouting, and I know that people have hunted the morning, so those birds are going to be pressured from getting shot at in the morning, getting shot at night. So I personally don't do it, but you can't coordinate with other groups. Like, what are your guys' thoughts on afternoon hunts?
My favorite hunting of all time is shooting ducks on a loaf midday. Like if you can find where ducks are coming for water, like for that midday feed, whether it's on a river or a pond, and I know Mark and Damien know what I'm talking about, like that is my favorite place to do it. But you're bringing a good point. That's probably your most high traffic time of day. But then, I mean, if you hunt during the weekday, there's a lot of people going to work and going to school and stuff like that. You run that risk in the morning too, right?
Yeah.
I think it just comes down to knowing your birds and watching what their pattern is. Because so right here, this body of water I have right here, there's no problem for me to hunt that in the afternoon. I can hunt that in the afternoon easy. Now, you can't do it every day, but you can easily do a hunt there in the afternoon because that's their pattern. They hit it in the afternoon. It's easy. But I do see what your point is, Dave. Yeah, I could see it, but again, I think afternoon hunting only works if it's scouted properly, right? Like exactly knowing. So it's funny because it's birds, but like I'll talk to people. I'm like, yeah, the birds were here 10 o'clock in the morning. This morning they were there at 11, and fellas are like, really? I'm like, I'm trying to figure out what their pattern, like what time are they coming? Because I find early in the season, you can almost set your clock to it. Like they'll almost dead on time all the time, like from where they're leaving and where they're going. And now this time of year, like I find birds are really hard to try and figure out their pattern, what's going on right now, or they are for me anyways. They seem to be a lot harder to try and figure out. But now talking about having a spot and going back and hitting it multiple times, like you were talking about there, Mark. Like we've got a buddy, Jason Sear, here in the Kingston area, and Jason's got a piece of property that he bought, and he built a house for his parents to live in and stuff, and a fair amount of property, and he's done a ton of work to get to manage the water in there and stuff. I've been hunting for a long. I've never seen wood ducks like what he has on his property. Like it is ridiculous. And Jason may hunt that piece of property. And I mean, like it's something you've never seen when it comes to wood ducks. Like they're just screaming all over the place. He may hunt that 3-4 times a season, max. And that's why it's so successful, because he's not there every day pounding it. He very, very meticulous and a thought through process on when he goes and sits down and hunts that. And well, once late season comes, it's nothing anyways. The wood ducks are gone, but yeah, like, you know, when you have that spot, you don't have to go out and shoot every goddamn bird right off the bat. Try and let it grow. Try and let it populate. And I think this year, I can't remember a year of seeing so many people that were shooting wood ducks at the beginning of the season than there were this year. It seemed like everybody was just hammering wood ducks at the beginning of the season this year. And I honestly do believe that the work that Delta Waterfowl and Ducks Unlimited done with these duck boxes and making it so popular for fellas to put duck boxes out on properties is the reason why we've got such a large number of wood ducks. It's because of the work that hunters are doing right now with these wood boxes that's causing the wood duck population to skyrocket, which is awesome.
Yeah, it is, and they're super easy to set up compared to like a mallard nesting box.
Yeah.
You can pretty much go on YouTube and make one yourself with just some like untreated wood and put it on a stake. Like they're super simple to make. Anyone can make it, right? So and then you put it in the right spot, and success rate is pretty high. So
actually, the science behind nest tubes in Ontario is that nest tubes don't work in Ontario. Out west they do, because the loss of habitat is so big out west, right? But here in Ontario, there's so much habitat for them to nest in that there's no need for the nesting tubes, right? Out west, different story. They're losing every year. There's more and more of their habitat being lost, so a little bit different. And I think the predator problem out west is probably a little bit more than what it is here in Ontario too. So, yeah,
definitely.
Anyways, fellas, I think we've got to our time limit, and we'll call her. That was episode 30, fellas. That's pretty friggin' amazing, to be honest with you, especially when we considered when we done this that we were only going to do episodes up until when duck season started, and then we were going to shut her down. And we've kept going right through duck season, and here we are at episode 30. And as long as people are listening, we'll keep putting it out. So we'll do a quick around the table before we shut her down for the night. So Ryan.
Yeah, good as always. Good to just kind of sometimes not have a guest and shoot the shit. If the individual who's listening and you make those bumper stickers that says "I'm not drunk, I'm just scouting," you can get our email and send that in, promo sticker. That would be great. And I would just like to say, God bless rumble strips, because I can't tell you how many times it saved my life on the road. We were talking about like scouting and the amount of time or how many times my wife has punched me in my right arm, like to focus on the road and not worry about those ducks on the pothole. So yeah, but other than that, good times, boys, as always.
Yeah. Mark.
Yeah, no, good chat tonight, boys. It's funny you're talking about that. We were driving down the road the other day, and I'm looking at turkeys in a field at about 1,500 yards away, and the truck's just drifting across the road. Voice ready to kill me.
Oh, on that, I got my new truck, and that's one of the changes from my old truck to the new one. Is now it has that lane assist. So if you start
Turn it off.
yeah. So once you start the move over off the lane, it's sort of the steering wheel vibrates and shit.
Right.
So yeah,
Yeah, you'll want to turn that off really soon.
yeah.
It's an annoying feature.
Dave,
Very annoying.
I can see.
Yeah, good chat, boys. As you can probably see, this bit of dirt above my lip here. Maybe you can't see it. Yeah.
No, can't see anything.
So I know it looks like
Movember?
shit. I know it looks like shit, but I just wanted to
nothing
draw
there.
attention to Movember. Maybe by having such a shitty little stash that I do, it draws a little bit more attention, and I hope it does. But Movember, men's mental health, suicide prevention, prostate cancer, testicular cancer. Guys, get out there, donate to them. It's a good cause.
and get yourself checked out.
Get yourself checked
Roger
out.
that.
Yep.
Getting to
Yeah.
that age, fellas, where we've got to start worrying about that.
Sitting down watching TV with your hand in your pants doesn't count.
Oh, Al Bundy.
Al Bundy. Yeah. Love and marriage.
Fellas, thanks again for coming on. Like you said, Ryan, it's sometimes it's just good just to have us on and iron out some of these things that we're seeing on social media and questions that get posed to us. And it's a good chance for us to get on and you know, just have a bullshitting session and just get some points across without having a guest on. So excellent episode as always. Like I said, episode 30. Very, very thankful for everybody that listened and writes us and sends in messages and stuff. It really do mean the world to us because it tells us that you're actually enjoying it and we're actually, you know, doing some good. So we really appreciate it. We can't thank you enough. We are, as advertised, just some blue collar dudes that love one another's company and we love shooting birds, drinking beer, and whatever. Until next week. And I don't know who we're going to have for a guest next week yet. So we got a couple in the hopper. We'll see who wants to come on next week. With that, everybody be safe out there. It is only a goddamn bird. It's not worth your life. So do your scouting, check your weather, make sure you're doing all of the necessary things on your end to ensure you're going to have the safest trip and experience that you could possibly have. With that, everybody, big love. See you next week. Take care.